Well, I think that now's a good time to probably bring out the question.
Of course. So, Meredith, your growth question is, how do I...
Over time, as I grew, I realized some of my worst clients were ones that were misaligned for a number of reasons. I said yes based on price because I had a scarcity mindset. I took them just because I felt bad saying no because they were desperate and needed help.
That leads in perfectly to the question I had in mind was, how would you describe your ideal client right now?
I'm just trying to find a way to reach these individuals who almost need a life raft or need a guide to walk them through the process, knowing that they don't have to do it alone.
I think if you made those two tweaks, that would help make sure that you would resonate with the right person, and it may take longer to find them. Those who do decide to reach out to you are probably even more qualified than they ever were before.
That's good. I like that.
I love moments like this where I feel like I'm just as glued to Craig's insights as Meredith is. So I'm like, I got to do that with my business.
And that's when the unlock happened where I was like, yeah, I can actually do this.
I got goosebumps. I don't know about you.
It's not my job to build somebody's self-confidence.
Say that again. The last 5 words you just said, say that again.
Welcome, Meredith. Welcome to the Growth Question. To get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your business and your excitement in being here.
Well, yeah, thanks, John, and thanks, Craig, for having me. My name is Meredith Arlinghaus, and I'm the owner and founder of Empower Accounting Professionals. And what we do is we use a franchise model to help serve accountants who want to start their own fractional practice. And by doing that, we provide marketing tools and tactical training and community support to come alongside you to not only start, but to accelerate that to help you find your first clients and grow your practice pretty quickly.
I love it. Give us a little more details, I think, on your business, how long you've been operating. I guess what gave you the inspiration, the confidence, the motivation to start on your own as well?
So I was a traditional accountant in the fact that I went to Big Four right out of college. So I was at Deloitte and then went on to a Fortune 500 company in corporate finance. So I had a 15 plus year career, kind of like I said, doing the traditional corporate model. And honestly, I fell into fractional accounting by accident. It was about 10 years ago, before fractional was kind of a buzz, popular word in this space. I walked into my boss's office after another burnout 70-hour week with 3 small kids at home. And I said, I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. But honestly, it was between volunteering and some divine intervention that an individual came to me and said, hey, can I just pay you to do all my back office stuff at my company, kind of what you're doing for the nonprofit? And I said, well, that's not really what I do. And I wasn't really sure what that meant. But he hired me, and I hate to say the rest is history as a cliche statement, but honestly, it kind of just snowballed from there. And what I wanted to do is just evangelize and teach other people to do what I did, right? I want to find the Merediths that were stuck, like I said. And so that's the impetus, and that's how Empower came to be, because I was completely at capacity. So I was like, what if I just train other people to do the same thing and come alongside them in that journey? So that's how Empower was born.
So that's awesome. And we have a lot of people who are at various stages of their journey that listen to this. We've had people on here doing our breakdowns that do close to $500,000 in revenue. We have people further along than that and also starting off. But one thing I think that a lot of the listeners might get some insight into is take us into your journey, because I think a lot of people might connect with going from 0 to 1, and that moment kind of heard from you.
Yeah. So 0 to 1, like you said, was totally happenstance. And that's when the unlock happened where I was like, yeah, I can actually do this. So I would say 2, 3, 4 client base of fractional accounting was more with straight word of mouth. So I was able to secure those. But I will say, and I caution individuals about this because, again, this is part of the growing pains that I had, was I took any client that needed help, right? They said, I need back office or accounting support. I'm like, I can do that. And over time, as I grew, I realized some of my worst, I'm using air quotes, worst clients were ones that were misaligned for a number of reasons. I said yes based on price because I had a scarcity mindset. I took them just because I felt bad saying no because they were desperate and needed help. So I was very reactive early on. And that's part of what I try to teach and train as a cautionary tale is if you start with a strategy and an intention in mind, you'll save a lot of the heartache and issues that I had over the first 12 months very
Hmm.
easily. Yeah.
That leads in perfectly to the question I had in mind was, how would you describe your ideal client right now?
So I'm going to shift now to empower because that was when I was doing my fractional accounting.
Okay.
And I'm no longer serving, personally, I'm no longer serving bookkeeping and accounting clients. But now that I'm the owner of Empower, remember, it is a franchise model. So we have accountants who are running their own fractional practice underneath us. I would say the ideal client profile is somebody who has more than 10 years accounting experience and who are just looking for something different. Someone who does have some sort of entrepreneurial ambition, but that's really the ideal profile is somebody in the accounting finance space who is looking for something new.
Well, I think that now's a good time to probably bring out the question.
I love it. I can read it. I have it right in
Yeah,
front
if
of
you
me.
have it available, go for it.
Of course. So, Meredith, your growth question is, how do I educate my ICP corporate accountants about the possibility of fractional ownership while also convincing them to leave their job, excuse me, and join our team? I definitely have some ideas behind this, but if you have any more context you want to share before we start to dive in, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So, just an additional context to that is I think the education piece is key. I'm just trying to find a way to reach these individuals who almost need a life raft or need a guide to walk them through the process, knowing that they don't have to do it alone.
And how do they normally find out about you? Is it through content marketing? Is it through ads? Is it through speaking engagements? What does that look like?
I would say, and then others have found me through LinkedIn. I have not
Okay.
done any paid advertising yet. I really wanted to hone our messaging and make sure it resonated before I started throwing money at that. And that's really the only presence that I have is LinkedIn and my network.
Okay. After you sign someone into the license, have you taken the time or had the opportunity to go back and have a conversation with them to figure out, well, when did I come on your radar? How did you find out about me? What put you over the edge of wanting to sign? And things like, if something else had been different a part of the deal, what would have been a deal breaker for you? Do those types of conversations happen?
No, but I love that post-mortem. I have not asked the inverse. Obviously, I asked like what excited you, what energized you about the offer, but I would love the reverse. What would have been a deal breaker or
Hmm.
what would have shied you away? So I have not asked that, but I do really like that question.
If you're enjoying this conversation, the fun does not have to stop here. You can get regular insights from both Jon and I on how to build and grow your business without getting stuck in the frustration of going alone. So go to tgq.tools/signup so that you can get this type of coaching found right here on the growth question delivered straight to your inbox.
Okay. Because I found a lot of times the issue we have as entrepreneurs is we end up doing business, transacting, getting clients, do whatever we're doing. And then it's tough sometimes to just take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit and say, okay, well, this worked. Now we need to kind of understand why. And have you ever heard of the book, The Mom Test?
No, tell me more.
Yeah, I recommend you check it out. So Robert Fitzpatrick is the author, and he comes from the startup world. And the whole idea is that what we tend to do in terms of market research is shoot ourselves in the foot, like from the first moment on forward. We ask people, is this a good idea? Would you buy this? What do you think of this? And what ends up happening is that the people who we have a relationship, or even if they happen to be extended through business context, they want to be nice. They want to tell us things we want to hear. And so when you can learn to ask some of these questions in a bit of a roundabout way, it's easier to uncover some details that we might have missed otherwise.
Mm. Well, you said it was the mom test?
The Mom Test, yeah.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
I love moments like this where I feel like I'm just as glued to Craig's insights as Meredith is. So I'm like, wow, I got to do that with my business. And me and Craig, this is why we've worked together in the past, doing kind of these things to really see, because a lot of the times I know I focus tactically and Craig's really looking for like the next layer beyond that, which I think is super insightful. Using that was going to kind of springboard me into Going back to your question, right? You use the words like convincing them to leave their job and join our team. And I'd be curious, looking at Craig's question right there, is like, I would almost bet like these people were already convinced. It was like how they came to exposure to you and whatever message was there, whether it was like through the organic networking and stuff like that, it was almost just reassuring their beliefs and maybe in talking with you. And so I would almost approach your question almost in a reframe where I don't think you need to convince anyone of anything. I think your biggest opportunity and kind of your biggest growth lever is more, and there's a lot to this, but it's already finding those people that are at that edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are you working that 70-hour week, going into your boss's office and being like, I can't, right? And maybe it doesn't happen that exact way, but like we've worked together. I know some people that you've onboarded, you've told me that exact story where like they're in between jobs or maybe they were raising their kids for a little bit and they're at a point where it's like, I know I don't want to go back to that. And I think there's a huge opportunity to find more people that are there. Of course, we can talk into how to do that, but that's kind of how I would approach the question.
Agreed. That's super good. I like that. Like you said, they're like nearing the edge, but they're like, just like kind of curious. They're a little like, tell me more. Not really sure. Yeah, that's definitely the mindset of the individuals. I have a lot of exploratory calls, a lot of people wanting to learn more. And
how do you qualify people for those calls?
So I do have a questionnaire, a pre-screening that allows people to kind of unpack what they're looking for. Because some of it, like I said, if they don't have the desire or willingness to do a little of their own sales or make a monthly investment by joining Empower, then it's not going to be a good fit. So there's some of that pre-screening. And then, it's just a conversation. Some individuals throughout the conversation, it's like I don't think this is right for you, and that's totally fine, but I wish you the best and I can help, make any connections for the next thing you're looking for. And that's totally okay. And sometimes, I feel like a therapy session where somebody just need to unload for a half hour and you're like, okay, that's
Right.
fine. I'm happy to, wear that hat as well. So. Yeah.
The Marine drill sergeant. There's a story of a Marine drill sergeant. And I don't know if this story is apocryphal. I don't know if it was made up by another coach in my position at one time or whatever, but this is how the story goes. These recruiters stepped into a cafeteria at a high school or college or something like that. And the person representing the Army gave a inspiring, wonderful speech, glossy deck. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can achieve in the Army. Airmen got up, did the same type of thing. Here's what you can do in the United States Air Force. The Marine got up, stood there, surveyed the room, said, no, I don't think anybody here has what it takes to be a Marine. But if you think I'm wrong, I'll be back at the table in the back and you can come talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that you said early in the conversation was, I'm looking for someone with experience who wants to do something different. And I think that's powerful because, like Jon said, leaning into that story of really connecting to people's hearts and saying, like, if you can't go into the office again and work another 70-hour work week, and you can't stand missing that play that your kids are practicing for, or just something as simple as the fact that you just want to get home at a reasonable hour so that you can enjoy being a human being and really speak to those very visceral needs that people have. And then on top of that, add a layer to it to where you are always the seller in terms of the fact that people come in and you're auditioning them. I don't know for a good fit. You got to be able to market your own business. You need to be able to do the accounting work. You need to be able to negotiate contracts. And all this is incredibly important. So maybe we can work together, but maybe not. And I think if you made those two tweaks, that would help make sure that you would resonate with the right person. And it may take longer to find them, But if that's the drumbeat that you're hitting constantly, those who do decide to reach out to you are probably even more qualified than they ever were before.
It's good. I like that.
I got goosebumps. I don't know about you.
But I hate to say it, part of me is also like, I love that story. My initial thought was, if you're telling people, like, it's basically like, you're not good enough, only the best come over here. And I can just picture a flood of kids like running, from the cafeteria, like, oh, I'll prove you wrong. Right. Like, it's just, the imagery is gorgeous. And then, but also, I'm also like, somebody who also already has lower confidence and isn't sure is immediately like, well, I'm not a good fit for that either. Right. And it's like, how do you still build into those individuals who are risk averse and are dealing with some self-confidence issues? Or maybe I don't need those people. Maybe that's exactly what I need to continue to hone. It's like, it's not my job to build somebody's self-confidence, but I don't know.
Say that again.
Which piece?
The last 5 words you just said, say that again.
I don't know that it's my job to build somebody's self-confidence.
I think you're exactly right.
What is
now,
her
how
job?
this is my therapy session.
Yeah. Well, what is her job? If it's not that, what is her job, Craig?
Well, your job is to find the right people who are poised to hit the ground running, to do what your mission and what your job it is to do.
Mm.
And if you have to sort through all the people who, are kind of, I don't know if I can do that. Like, all of us have imposter syndrome. We all have the mental blocks. We all have that. That's why I do what I do, is to help uncover that stuff, right? But the people who are about the business of running their own business need to be able to embrace that and not run from it. And so my question to you is, how many clients do you need? How many people do you need to sell in a year?
Do you want my goal, or like, how many do you need? I don't know that there's like a need. So right now we have 6, and I would love to double that in the next 6 months.
Okay, so you're talking about 12 people.
In the next,
how many accountants are there in the world? Just ballpark it for me.
Millions.
Okay, you need 12 people, and if you pick the wrong person out of the millions of accountants that are out there, and you only need 12, then you're putting someone in a spot that could be a rock star for you, because you let in the gate the person who didn't have the right mindset. And so that's your job, is to figure out who this person is, what makes them tick, and figure how can you be the most attractive to that person. I use the Marine recruiter as hyperbole. Like, we don't want to come in the room and tell people you're not good enough. None of that. But if you're the seller and you have an audition mindset, that changes the frame entirely.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, and I think, because my brain always goes to the tactical side of things too. Outside of that, I think it's a very advantageous story, right? Your origin story, I think, is something that a lot of people in your ICP would resonate with. How often do you use that, again, tactically, like in content? Because it does seem like, if the 6 people, let's say all 6 or 5 out of the 6, like, were from word of mouth or like your network, to go beyond that, to like start to scale and double that, I do think there's a huge opportunity of using content and things like that. Like, how often do you use that origin story to find that person who is, again, just to like list it off, 10 years of experience, has cruised up the corporate ladder and realized like where the end is? Because I think that that's a magnet to be used tactically out in content.
So with your assistance, based on the course that I attended, I have started a weekly newsletter. So I went from monthly to probably just more broad. Former colleagues, individuals that weren't in my ICP, right? Just trying to inform my network of what we're up to, what's going on. So that was a very general newsletter that went out monthly. I've honed it much more to the ICP. So I'm also trying to actively grow my follower base. I think I've, probably doubled my followers in the last year. It's in the thousands. So I went from, again, when you're in corporate, you have like 25. It's the people in your department. Like, I was never on LinkedIn. I didn't care. It just seemed like another dumb social media platform because I didn't need to network. I didn't need anything. I didn't need a creative outlet, right? So basically starting LinkedIn from scratch over the last year. So, but that's really the only awareness and marketing outreach that I'm doing is the newsletter and LinkedIn.
Okay. And I do think, yeah, like we never want to be we get on a discovery call and it's like, okay, prove to me that you can be an empower. But I will share that, like, and it's hard to actually distill down of like how it looks. But it's funny Craig brought up that story because maybe it was a rougher day. I don't really know. And it's kind of embarrassing because this client might actually watch this. But recently I onboarded a new client. We were going back and forth. And finally they sent a list of like, it was paragraphs of questions. And I just said, you know what? You're probably not right for CWC. I kid you not, within like an hour and a half, I saw the payment link come through. And it was like there's this weird frame control of becoming, I'm going to use it from now on, like the Marine of like, this probably isn't right for you. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, I wish I could distill that into a step-by-step of like how to actually do it in the online business world.
Sure.
But it's current event last week that happened to me. And yeah, I wasn't as articulate and metaphorical as Craig was, but it works. So.
Yeah, he's a good storyteller.
Oh, thanks.
Ready to be on the growth question and get coaching for your business? We're always looking for businesses and people just like you to be breakdown guests for the show. Just go to tgq.tool/apply. Tell us a little bit about your business and your growth question. Awesome. Cannot wait to meet you. Now let's get back to the conversation.
Jon, can you help remind us of the awareness levels? Do you have those off the top of your head? The
of
copywriting
like the
awareness
Eugene
levels?
Schwartz awareness level?
Yes, the Eugene Schwartz ones, yes.
So I'm probably going to forget one or two, but there's like problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and there's got to be one either like before problem. I'd say like the three most important though are problem aware, solution aware, and product aware. You know you have a problem. So there's got to be one even before knowing you have a problem, but whatever.
Well, it's problem unaware, I think is what it is.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. Problem unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware. Obviously, I think unaware, you're living in la la land and your life's perfect, but problem aware is like, I know I have a problem. Solution aware is I know there are ways to solve this. And product aware being, I think Eugene Schwartz says it's like 3%, maybe it's like 1.5% of all buyers are in that spot where it's like now they're just competing between making a decision of, coach A versus coach B, product A versus product B, things like that.
And the reason I bring it up is because I think there might be an issue to where what you're doing is you're swimming in the completely unaware pools. And so in my mind, I think what you need to do is like really clear, and that is get crystal on your ideal client. I mean, psychographics, demographics, all of that in, but specifically the psychographics in terms of what do they want? What do they need out of life? And when you begin to produce content and when you begin to show up in different ways in your network events where you're only speaking to this person who's in that area, everybody else will like, they won't get it. Like it's lost. And that's good, right? But the ones that it resonates with, they're going to be like, I have to talk to Meredith. This is the life that I want to, or at least I need to know more about what she does so I could figure out if there's something I want to do. And so I think learning a little bit about those awareness levels and understanding that every piece of content, every message that you put out there is kind of couched in different categories. And the more you're intentional about hitting those categories from the beginning, the better off you'll be.
Can you repeat who the author or content
Eugene
that
Schwartz. I'll send you the book. What is it? Something advertising. It's
yeah,
I'm losing it right now.
Breakthrough advertising. It's kind of it's like, if you probably, I'm sure Jon has an article or a thread or something like that, or newsletter issue. Like, I would not suggest that you dive into the book unless you want to become like a copywriter marketer, but just understand, like, we'll see if we can find a YouTube video, or if Jon has something in his content library that goes over it. It's just being aware of the mindset is really the most important aspect of it.
Well, I have a PDF version of it, Meredith. I'll send it to you.
Well, there you go.
But also, I was going to kind of piggyback on Craig bringing that up, though. From your vantage point, Craig, what would be kind of the 3 things, and sorry to put you on the spot here, but what would be kind of the 3 dimensions for really dialing in that ICP that you would help, if you were in a one-on-one coaching session? What would be the 3 things that you would kind of put at the front of your mind before getting into the actually reading the book, all those things that you would recommend someone focus on?
Oftentimes, and I see this 100% with you, oftentimes our ICP are a version or a reflection of who we are as a person. Going back into your story and hitting the milestones of figuring out, well, what led up to this big change in my life? What was the breaking point? Like, when did you actually make the decision to walk into that office and say, I am not coming back? And you get in touch with that story, and you get in touch with that, who you were 3, 5, whatever years ago, and write that out in as detailed fashion as possible and really drink that in. I think that's step 1. Step 2 would be the other side of that, and try and figure out, what are the bad matches? Who would be repelled by wanting to do what you're trying to do? If you're just too shy, if you need someone to give you a schedule and say, here's the milestones we need to hit, or whatever, if you're not self-driven, if whatever the things are, not only list off those things, but understand what are the emotions behind those. Okay. Then that way you have an understanding of both sides of the coin that way. And I could try really hard to come up with a smart sounding number 3, but nothing's coming to me right now. But I think if you start with those 2, you'll be in a really sweet spot.
The first one's very easy. I'm like, yes, I could, get a nice cup of coffee and just start writing, because it's easy to get back in that mindset, but
because really you said it. You're like, I want to find more Merediths.
Yep. Exactly. And that's why it's so energizing what I'm doing, because it's like I just want to be like their life raft. Like I said, I don't need to build their confidence. You already coached me through that. I don't need to build their self-confidence, but yeah, I see it as a path for me, for the me's that used to.
Yeah. And if you had walked into your life at that inflection point of where you just had enough and offered that life raft at that point, how much convincing would it have taken?
Not much.
Right. And so Jon was very astute in pointing out that word. Like, I think the word convincing needs to be completely removed from the entire process. And, you can do it through the things that we've already talked about, but from your mindset from here on out should be, I have this life raft. You're drowning. Let me help you.
Yeah. You're right. The word convince has an air of desperation, and I want to remove that. Yeah.
And I love
it might be coming
alliteration.
through in my messaging that I don't realize.
And I was going to say, I love alliteration. So I'm going to say we need less persuasion and more permission in our world. So.
I love it.
So fun. So while I still have you, one quick question. You asked about paid ads, and I've never done them. Would you see that as a natural extension, or you're like, just keep honing your ICP, honing your messaging, keep outreaching, like just the way that I currently am, or just love to get input?
I would not go to paid ads until you are 100% confident in your ability to message confidently. I used the word twice, but ads are the time. I have a client who's he teaches people how to run ads for as a book author. And he's learned what he's learned because he spent a lot of money on ads and made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And so any type of outreach arm, whether it's content marketing, whether it's ads or anything like that, 2 things need to be clear from the very beginning. Number 1, you have to give it enough time to work. right? So you need to give it 3 to 6 months no matter what you're doing. And with ads, you need to look at it as an investment. Like if you start running ads and you're like, I'm just burning through money. Yes, you're going to burn through money. And so as long as you're financially in a position where you can just light this on fire because you're experimenting and you're learning, but that only is available to you after you've completely dialed in your messaging.
Got it. Okay. All right. I've been hesitant for that very reason. And so I'm going to continue to sit on and not do that.
Well, I think the post-mortem thing too, and I don't have much, my whole business has been built on organic. But I do think missing the step of doing the post-mortem that Craig was talking about too, is to like, why? I mean, there's a lot of gold in that messaging. I would never think, again, and take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I don't have too much insight and experience with ads, but I would probably never dip my feet in the water of ads until I at least did that as well. Because I think that's just going to get you a lot of valuable messaging.
Okay.
Awesome.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
You are welcome. It was our pleasure. If people want to contact you and find out more about you, where would you like to send them?
So they can find me on LinkedIn, Meredith Arlinghaus. Our website is empowerap.com. If you want to learn, if you're a visual person and want to read up a little bit more, we have information and articles there. But those are the best places to find me.